Assalamu alaikum, Akim, Akotiam. Islam Moors. Hell is low, everybody else. Hell is very low. Hey, welcome to the channel. As you can tell, I'm in the midst of doing a little rebranding here. Yeah, we're gonna report on the Watchers Chronicles. We're gonna do a little report on with Chronicles. Things I've been watching and observing and trying to continue to put it in perspective of biblical, into the biblical perspective of things that's going on today and where we are at. Also wanting to dive a little deeper into some astro-theological aspects of this book we never really get to hear about from much of anybody unless we just stumble across the information out there on the web or whatever. But that's what I'm going to be still going to do this thing and do my biblical breakdowns, but I'm also going to dive into some tie-ins with uh, the astrotheological and cosmology that's also written into the book that we don't talk about. I'm going to talk about it. Anyway, uh, we're going into a subject that's kind of deep. I basically been binge watching a little bit of Kevin Samuel's show and his platform. Also, the lead attorney, and man, these guys get eye openers, really big time eye openers. We've been living in some dangerous times as men. Got our women against us. We got the enemy against us. We got everybody, look like everybody against us. Then we turn around and we're against one another. We bumping heads. So it's like, and I'm looking around the neighborhood. Neighborhoods are not growing as far as I'm looking. Not my neighborhood, not in the other neighborhoods I've been visiting in greater New Orleans. We're not growing. I don't see the kids, even though I live right across from a schoolhouse here. No kids in the neighborhood. You don't see it. And it's good to hear the sound of their little screaming voices getting on my last nerve every now and then. But it's good to hear children not growing. All we're doing is aging and dying out. And another thing I'm noticing, a lot of people just kind of creeping around and hanging around, waiting for you to die out so they can grab up what belongs to you. But I got plans here. I just ran a devil away from one of my properties down the street from me, hanging out, talking about I'm the cat lady, I'm going to feed cats. But anyway, that's all side note. Let's get into the program. I've been binge watching these guys and the information that they're bringing out. I kind of knew we were in a gender war, but I couldn't explain it. I couldn't talk to it. And I'm still a little shaky about it, but man, the information come out just blew my head. It's wide open. The state of where we are between men and women, particularly. And what the lead attorney brings out, man, you ain't got a prenup, and sometimes a prenup may not even help you out here in certain situations. You mess around some little girl, little boy talk about it. Mommy, he touched me while you was away, just because they vindictive of maybe a punishment, or you might have told him, no, you can't go out and play with your phone. Give me that phone, take it away. And if he touched me, you in trouble. And I think the Most High I got out of my situations was I had 3 stepchildren. Good night. And got in trouble behind trying to discipline them at that. Okay? But as you can see the title, welcome to the Watchers Chronicle. Once again, we're going to get into this a little bit. I didn't know how to go about talking about this without and keeping it short but on point to what's been going on. We as melanated indigenous people, we've been catching a bad rap, particularly though the men. And I've been celibate the past 11 plus years. Praise the Most High. that dwells within me, who gave me strength to just withdraw from that whole dating scene and that whole sexual thing that I had going on 11 some odd years ago. It's been a blessing because there's nothing but trouble out there. You understand? But I actually got a little depressed listening to these guys because I've been, like I say, I've been binge watching like Kevin Samuels and stuff and just the little 15-minute clips because I can't do no 2 and 3 hour. I ain't about to do it. And lead attorney, he goes into these 3, 5 hour programs. I ain't about to sit there 3 to 5 hours listening to anything. But I try to get the gist of what they're talking about and the kind of things that they see from their perspective. These are professionals in their individual fields. And I'm like, man, the state of our community, and it ticks me off. I don't want to hear no more about this, the official state of Black America. I don't want to hear nothing about that no more. I'm looking at the state of our. We are declining, even though we're hanging in here a little bit above a lot of other folks who are on a decline. Man, we in bad shape. Our relationships, men and women, it's in bad shape. But anyway, I wanted to get into this program because we have been accused of being very violent and abusive individuals, and it's just not true. Does it happen? Yeah. Have I been there? Yeah. I've been there, done that. Mm. However, once it's not like something that's just as widespread as people put it out to be. We're these horrible, horrible people. We come out of the greatest society there was. We were the envy of every people on the earth. We had the highest standards that we lived by. Young ladies would remain virgins until they actually were married. And now you're looking around things like I say, I was in that caught up in that perversion. I ain't scared to talk about it. I was looking for a virgin, couldn't find one. And got started going into ages a little too young. But the thing is, we have been catching a bad rap. And everybody's pointing fingers. Everybody is man's fault. It's the woman's fault. It's this person's fault. It's that, and it's slavery and all it. What you call it? Yeah. So I was trying to remember and recall the Willie Lynch letters and how they went into detail as to how they actually go about separating us as a people and how those effects, wherever they come from, probably this old Willie Lynch ain't developed it. This stuff was developed way back in Egypt, probably further back than that, back to earlier captivities. But wherever he got it from, it's affecting us to this day. But basically, I asked the question: is God a spouse abuser? And the answer is, well, I'm going to get to it later on, but I know the answer. Y'all know the answer to it. He's a stern man. I'm going to refer to him as a man, a rich man, a high value man, as Kevin Samuels would put it. He was a high value man, the richest man. And his woman of choice, was average at best. So yes, average women, y'all got a shot at a high value man. But what are you gonna do with him when you get it? You don't understand that this is a businessman. He's got other things he's got to get done. He's going on these business trips for 6 months to a year, however long it takes for him to handle and manage his businesses, more than one. The universes, more than one. Multiverses, whatever, more than one. It's a busy man. So he can't stay there all lovey-dovey, hugging and holding and kissing and making out with you all day long. He's got business he got to go take care of, right? Same thing. As above, so below. Um, but I'm going to get basically into what I didn't learn in Christian church, what I haven't learned. I don't really hear much talk about how this covenant agreement came about, or how you put it, what it was all about. You hear about it in terms of a death contract, whereas you have a last will and testament. You hear about the death portion of it, but you never hear about it in terms of a marriage contract. A marriage contract. So I'm just going to go through some basics before I get into the depth of, is God a spouse abuser? Go through it real quick. Ain't gonna delve too deep into it because it would take hours. I've been sitting for hours and all kind of things, processing information, and say I can't pass on all. I gotta condense all this information and make it reasonable and understandable to the general audience in general. Basically, there was a marriage proposal. Um, When a guy is interested in a woman, he normally goes to the woman. When I was growing up, now today is a total different deal. I'm going back into ancient days. A guy would go to a woman's father, and they have a marriage arrangement. They make an agreement. I like your daughter. I'm interested in her. The father would vet me. You working? Can you take care of my daughter? Can you pay the dowry that I set, the dowry price that I placed on on my daughter? Can you afford it? If you can't, what do you have a down payment and work for me and pay it off over time or something like that, right? That is a courtship. It's not dating. This man is approaching this other man, this father of this daughter he's interested in, and he's making. Well, they're working things out. They're wheeling and dealing. And women don't like to think of themselves as property, but basically you belong to your father. He gonna march your butt down in the aisle, and before a pastor or preacher, he's gonna turn your hand over to your husband. You going from a transfer from your father to your husband. Whereas your father was your head covering, now your husband is gonna, if you conclude the deal right, your husband's gonna be the head. He's gonna lead you and do all the things that your father was doing plus some. That's the deal. That's the deal your father's ranging out. It's not. You don't want to look at it as a property exchange, but basically that's what it is. I don't care what you think about it. I know what's going on today, and it ain't in accordance with the way things were set up. I know things aren't happening. So there wasn't dating, there was courting, and courtship left to marriage. Male or female can terminate a courtship at any time. You sit there, you talk to a guy, and you're like, wait a minute, I ain't feeling this. This ain't vibing right. Back in the days, you couldn't do it, but today, if there was proper courting going on, guy would approach your father. I'd like to court your daughter. Um, and there would be some supervised visits. You ain't just going to be taking her out and going off and y'all doing whatever. No, there's going to be some supervised courtship. You're going to be watched every time you're around. If you can't take the man out with the father out with you, you probably ain't going out anywhere. So basically, you're trying to get a feel for, is this person really somebody? And this all took place. A lot of people don't even know. And when I was like I say, I didn't know and don't really think about it and dwell on it. Most High was married. He had a wife. They had a relationship. And some things went wrong. So that's what I wanted to point out. Basically, there was a marriage proposal with Abraham. Before Abraham even had any children, these two friends, I'm going to refer to God as a man, a rich man, a high value man, very rich, very powerful. But these two were friends. and they hashed out some deals together. Blood covenants, real blood and flesh. It'll be cut and chopped off. Bloody mess. They hashed out this deal, came to some arrangements, and they stuck to it. That was the marriage proposal. There was an engagement. It was a weird thing that took place. Jacob had a dream. In this dream, he saw this ladder, something that appeared to be a ladder, and elementals coming down from the ladder and going up the ladder. They look at it now today, we look at it commonly known now as DNA strand or genetic material, but it's a connection between heaven or the high place and the low place, spirit and flesh, a God gene, a God particle, whatever they've been looking for and found. That was the connection they were trying to find out. And this was the struggle after Jacob had this dream about DNA strand going on. He had a wrestling match to take place. And him and this man wrestled all night long. Somebody just showed up and started wrestling dude. Dude won the match. He qualified. He won the match, but not without pain to his hip and his side. His rib, his 13th rib, which was removed from him. It was a reminder for him for the rest of his life that he had made this engagement, this wrestling engagement, which was they wrestled all night till the break of dawn. And somebody had to get out of there before the sun came up. Somebody had to get out of there before the sun come up. But the deal is, that was the engagement. Okay? Press a little forward here. So after that occurred, the woman went into the house of another man, became this man's servant, so Egyptian. At first they were getting along good. Then the woman started to grow. She reached her teen years. And the man she was working for got afraid. Said, wait a minute, this child is growing up pretty big here. I don't know. Now I started having trouble with some of my other wives. This old girl here, I don't know if she gonna be with me or be against me. That's the way he was looking at it. So he messed around and went and enslaved the woman. And she had two terrible sisters, just like in that Cinderella story. And they beat her butt, and she doing all this hard work, and while they going out and playing and going out to balls and stuff, she in there on her hands and knees scrubbing the floor, cleaning out the commode, serving hard servitude, nasty, filthy job. And she cried out. And this powerful man remembered his promise, his engagement. And he said, he looked and he saw this girl beaten and bloodied and said, it's time to go get her. It's time to go get her out this. He originally didn't even want to take her out the house. He said, I'm going to let her grow up a little bit more. Look, I want to introduce myself to my fiance. This is my fiance who's going to have my child. My first and only begotten. She's going to deliver that child to me. I just want to introduce her to me. She's never met me. I've met her with her fathers. This is my fiance. I just like a little time with my fiance where she and I can get to know one another. You know, this man didn't want to let the woman go out and meet her fiance. She mine. I'm going to keep it in. This going to stay in my house. What you talking about? Man institute, he anointed a man, a go-between. Said, I'm going to make you a god to this king. This arrogant, ignorant. He don't know who he's playing with. He don't know who he's talking to. And you're going to be my go-between. And what I want you to do, go slap him upside his face 4, 5, 7 times upside the head. And tell him, let Not only is he gonna let my woman come out to me, he gonna let her go. He gonna pay all the back pay he owe her and some. Now instead of just giving her to me for a few days, I want her and the money completely. Go and tell him if he don't give my woman, punch him in between the legs. Let him know I'm not playing with him. Now I want my woman completely out of his house. No more handmade for him. And that's what happened. So the man delivered the people, washed up the girl, the fiance, took her through the waters, washed her up, cleaned her off, got rid of some of the old dusty clothes that was on her, cleaned her up a little bit, took her out into this secluded place, and they met up at the Mount of Sin of AI, Sinai, the mountain of the sin of artificial intelligence. I'm just telling the story the way I see it. That was the beginning of the wedding, where he would actually descend before this woman in power and in glory and meet her as is, face to face, and introduce himself. I am he who exists. I am he exists. The power of your fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And I am the man promised to you, and you have been promised to me. Introduced himself, and here's something you never really hear much about. He started pronouncing this long prenuptial agreement that had to be agreed upon between him and his woman, a prenup, 600, approximately three prenups, which outline you do these things, everything gonna go well. You fail to do these things, and this is what's going to happen to you. And he went through it, and with thundering voice and lightning, shaking, just like my. I'm sorry about the shaking of my video camera, but I live on shaky ground, so when I'm right by a railroad station, so I get to feel the shakes for real, just like if the mountain was shaking, my house is shaking. All right. So he went through this long, and about a couple of hours, they reading off this long prenuptial agreement. Then he got into the marriage vows, which are 10 commandments, 10 vows, 10 marriage vows. And he read through all 10. Thou, you shall not do this. Don't do that. You agree to do this. You agree to do that. 10 commandments. That was your marriage vows. I want to do a side note. When I was a kid, about 10 to 15, 16 years old, I attended a lot of weddings. Something strange took place in them church weddings. I won't be specific. These were church Christian weddings. Preacher would be up there and he'd get the woman and say, now repeat after me. And you promise to honor, cherish, love, and obey. And after each one, he had a woman say, yes, I promise that, yes, I. But when he got to obey, the woman would be, the overall majority of the time, women would be silent and be struggling. I'm not saying no, obey, obey. And we little kids say, boy, that dude, they in trouble. Them women ain't about to obey him. That woman ain't about to listen to nothing this dude say. She ain't about to say. But the preacher the preacher would be like having to pull teeth. I can't marry you if you can't say you gonna obey this man. And finally get it out of him. I'll obey. Boy, but that woman ain't about to do a doggone thing this man tell her to do. And the poor dude, he's simping big time. He sweating bullets. Man, you embarrass me in front of all these. She's so beautiful. He want to. He don't care. I want this woman. I don't care if I got to simp, whatever. I might have to turn around and whoop my butt and get something out of it. But shoot, guys ain't really play that like that because the women was doing some foul stuff. We want to talk about the foul stuff women was doing. This is all side note right now. I kind of got away from the program, but it's still a part of the program because the women will not. They did not want to say that word obey. And something I started noticing as I started getting older. They started having backyard weddings. I started seeing them old shotgun weddings and them backyard weddings. When the vows, the involuntary backyard weddings or house weddings, that vow was completely written out of it. It wasn't no obey no way in it. I agree to do this and that and the other thing and cook and clean and do all these things or whatever, uh, whatever vow, whatever them two agreed on would be their vow. They changed the book. And still a preacher would come out, but I can't marry you in my church if you ain't gonna follow these guides, these vows that are prescribed. You can't come inside my church and get married. But still, he was there doing backyard weddings. I don't get that. Just send him off to justice peace, let him do it that way, whatever. I imagine a lot of people did that as well. But that was just a side note. So he went through these vows, and he sent his preacher, Moses. And his, what say y'all? Y'all heard the man? You heard the prenuptial agreement? You heard the marriage vows. Now what y'all say? All that he said we will do. He say I do. But they say, please, whatever you do, tell him we don't want to hear from him no more. Tell him he talk too loud. He shake everything. He loud. We scared of him. He be around and shaking things up. And when they said I do, what did Moses do? Took some blood, sprinkle on the people, sprinkle on the instruments, sprinkle on the vows, sprinkle on that tablet that broke up. The wedding vows were already broken before they even agreed to them, but he had sprinkled it anyway. All, all these gifts and all these agreements went into a special box, the Ark of the Covenant. As a reminder, Aaron's stick that budded represented the Most High's rod that gives life. That was placed in the box. On the outside of the box, I believe there was a little side sheet that the prenuptial agreements went in, but the stone 10 commandments of that marriage covenant went inside the box, and a few other things I can't manna. All that went inside this golden, beautiful golden uh, box, the dowry box, the jewelry box that he gave to this woman to keep. And his presence would be with her always when he's away on his business trips or whatever. And each year they were supposed to go through and read those marriage prenup agreements aloud in front of everybody so they be reminded. Now, the sprinkling of the blood represent sexual intercourse. This woman bled for the very first time. That's what the sprinkling of the blood was. That was a marriage that took place. Understand that. So we move on down the line. They are all married and set. Now he's getting rid of all the dusty dross and all from this gold. He's cleansing and purifying this lady for a few more days while they're in there, getting rid of all that excess baggage and the people who still kind of like clinging to that old Egyptian, getting rid of all that bad attitude picked up in Egypt. When it was clean enough, moved across and got purified through some more waters, went on into this land. They had to purify the land. The land was filled with parasites, Jebusites, Kizites, Hittites, parasitic things that needed to be cleansed out of the land. And the homes were all filled with milk, mold, and mildew. So the lady, newlywed, she had some cleaning to do. Ain't no problem. She had been cleaning most of her young adult life and most of her childhood in Pharaoh's or the king of Egypt's house. So she ain't no problem cleaning up. But the thing is, they didn't get rid of all the parasites. And he told them that's going to be a canker sore in your side after a while. They moved in, settled in. Man went off on a business trip. That's what he do. Problem is, he stayed long. He stayed long too long for this woman. And she started looking around at her girlfriends or her peers and started hanging out with them on the street corner. While the man was away, taking care of business, earning his high dollar, earning his money, dressing this woman up in silk, the finest silk and linen and cotton, putting jewelry in her hair and in her ears and in her nose and on her fingers. She still went out and took her butt out there with them ratchet women with bad attitudes and started doing something that ticked them women off. And the women was out there getting paid. They was out there prostituting, hoeing. But her, with her dumb self, she go out there and she start paying dudes. Look, I'll pay you to sleep with me. I want to do you, and I'm gonna pay you. You like this jewel I got made? Here, let me do you, and you can have this. I got $1,000, my old man left with me. Would you like this $1,000? All you gotta do is come sleep with me in my place. The women on that street corner. It's a contract. We gotta do something about this wench. She got the game all twisted. Huh? Girl, you got us twisted. These women about to cut her throat. The only got themselves and say, hold up, wait a minute. We can use what she doing. She enriching these fools. We still getting a little bit of business. All we gotta do is up our price. So we can still use them. When we get through using it, then we cut our doggone throat. And that's what they did. Contrary. You're out here paying while these people out here getting paid. And you look at it, you look at our society as it is today and say, who's paying who? For what service? Huh? Who living off who? Who profiting off of who? Who out making a profit and who out paying? Don't see it though. You'll see it after a while. So yeah, she got a little mansion moved and she moved in and then she got all bored because her man was gone 6 months out of the year, a whole year sometime, maybe longer. And she went out and did her thing. And when the man come home, he looking around, this food went, that's a gift I gave to my wife. What are you doing with my gold? Oh, hell broke loose. Hold up now. Woman, what the hell is you out here doing? Is you out your mind? Yeah, he beat her and put her out of his doggone house. You go stay with your lover. You out here sleeping around with men with big old horse penis, donkey penis. What's wrong with you? I hit your head. I can't even feel no sidewalk. What's wrong with you? Out of my house. Out, out, out. Get out. You put her out, beat her butt, put her out. She go stay there, live with her dude, and get abused. Even worse. Now, which abuse you gonna take? The abuse I'm putting on you, trying to correct you, or just the abuse for just to be abused? Because you hate it. Would you rather be abused because you love? I wanted to see you do right, or would you want to be abused just to be abused? As I can't stand you, I hate your guts. There's a balance. There's one thing is correction, the other is abuse. Would you rather be corrected or would you rather be abused? Do you still not know the difference between correction and abuse? A lot of you don't, but it's all good. And carry on because time is rolling out. So yeah, this happened several occasions. Till one day he just finally, I can't do this no more. And she could look in his eyes and see, I mean, sit down. We gonna talk. And she knew something was wrong. Said, this ain't gonna be like all the other time where I get a butt with me. This is different. Something's different. He ain't acting right. He ain't beating me. Then when it hit, oh no, she saw whining, crying. Oh no, oh yeah, oh yeah. Oh my Lord, my Master, just beat me, just beat me. I'll act right. Go ahead on, and she begging to beat. Why should I beat you anymore? The more I beat you, the worse you get. It's doing no good. You're not correcting yourself. Me beating you ain't correcting your behavior. You just get worse and worse. So he already had paperwork already filled out. Serve her with the papers. Serve her. Divorce. We're done. I want you and your bastard children out of my house. I'm done. I'm finished with all this. Then she got nerve to get arrogant. I ain't going nowhere. This is my house. I'm staying. I ain't leaving. He was like, oh, okay, all right. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Isaiah 1 and 5. Just read chapter Isaiah 1. You get the gist of it. Tell you what I'm going to do. You ain't going to leave? Okay. I tell you, I'm going to tear down this hedge of protection I done built around this house to protect you. I'm going to tear it down to the ground, pull up all the protection, all the brick walls, everything. And I'm going to let your enemies come and get you. All your little lovers out there you've been paying, all the people that you yourself hate, all of them don't have access to you. You ain't got to go. Just stay. But that's what I'm going to do. That's what you in for. And I'll tell you what's going to happen. They're going to come in here. They're going to whoop your butt. They're going to beat your kids. They're going to spread y'all out from one end of earth to the other. And they're going to abuse you in the worst kind of way. In the worst kind of way. So I got another business trip. I'll see you later. I'll see you around. Divorce. Finish. That was the infidelity. And that was the divorce. She didn't want to leave. Just what he said happened, happened. And you wonder what's going on today? Think about it.